Hey guys, welcome back to Overtakes. This is Misfit.
And I'm Kel.
And we are going to be doing our players to watch and our fantasy, kind of our fantasy talk for the week, our fantasy pop-off for week 2. So we did our picks already. They've been up for a little bit, and now we're ready to dive into some player talk, and let's jump on it. We're going to do in our sites first. So let's do that. All right. Who do we got first?
So looking at it this week, the player, I mean, we've been like fangirling over him so hard, like pretty much since last season, and that's Envy.
Yeah.
One of my favorite off-tanks to watch in this game, because he is just so freaking good.
And I like him because when I play Diva, I kind of play like him, but definitely not on his level.
Oh yeah, but I love his style.
I like the aggression.
Play. Yeah, he's hyper aggressive, and he's like that. Apparently, no matter what character he plays, and he's really shown his versatility. And I think that's what I want to see more of, is seeing what other characters he plays, and especially before Nico comes back, seeing what they do to kind of counter that. Because
they have a tough week.
They do.
And they're going to need him to step up. And he's got a good revenge match later on in the week. So
right.
We're going to see if they have the dog on a leash a little bit. Because, like we said, he tends to go a little bit affect.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't, he kind of just, he doesn't know when to stop the fight.
But I feel like he's a little more
calculated
with it. Yeah, because even if he does die, it still puts his team at a good advantage.
He has a little of that. He dies, but he always takes someone or two people with him.
Right.
So there's a trade-off. It's just sometimes he does it at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, and he's playing off-tank, so there's not super flashy stuff. He's not dropping bombs like Poco or Rhea.
Right.
He's just systematically eliminating everybody.
I was honestly last week, aside from his wrecking ball, which was really good, and I love seeing that in the league. As soon as that character was introduced, I was so excited to see it, and because of guys like him, guys like Fissure, just seeing them play him is just
Gamsu
so good. Gamsu, but with Envy, I want to see more of his Sombra. I was blown away that he was even playing Sombra, and then how well he played her was insane.
Yeah, well, he plays at a frenetic pace.
Right, so she's a perfect character for him, because when you're just when you're hopping in and out of stealth and you're just messing with people.
Oh yeah,
it's perfect.
I main Diva for a long time. Mm-hmm. And my second favorite hero to play is Sombra, because it's kind of the same, especially when I was playing Diva before, a lot of the stuff that's happened now, where you're just kind of, in the GOATS thing, because I haven't played really competitive for a long time, but I liked playing Sombra because it's the same thing. You're in and out and you're just being annoying. Mm-hmm. Or, more with her than with Diva, because you sometimes you peel and you protect your back line and all that. With her, you're just full on just harassment.
Right.
And he's good at that.
Yeah, he is.
He does it with Diva.
Right. That's the best part.
Yeah, and and they got their work cut out for them this week. That's going to be a fun match with them in Atlanta.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so excited for that match, and it's the league's match of the week. We highlighted it in our previous episode. Yeah. So the hype for this game is really starting to build, and I'm loving it because everyone was sleeping on Toronto, and I just feel really awesome about it now. But let's move on to our next players, and that's going to be Luffy and Gamsu. I know we talked about Gamsu last week, and then we also made the mistake of not realizing that he played the entire game on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I was messing around with that stupid. I have too much fun with that damn all access thing.
Right.
I'm not even paying attention. And I was also trying to record because I wanted to see if I can get some different points of view.
Yeah.
And I was trying to do that, and I don't know if it says, it might say something bad about Shanghai that I didn't notice that Gamsu was actually in there.
Yeah. I guess when we noticed him and he was making making plays is really what it was. But yeah, I mean, I feel like as he grows more comfortable, it's going to get better. But really, the biggest surprise for this team has been Luffy. Yeah,
Luffy's been great.
He was fantastic in both games, and just a completely such a stark contrast from what they were putting out with their supports last season.
Well, I mean,
it just changes everything.
Last year, you were just so used to watching them die.
Yeah,
I mean, they died more than fucking Swan did in Raucous combined.
Right. God, it was rough.
I'm gonna keep railing on that, guys. It's just gonna happen.
Swan and Raucous.
Yeah. Well, Raucous had all kinds of fantasy points. Not to go on a sidetrack. He had all kinds of fantasy points because they played 10 maps.
Right.
Same thing with Dante. But anyway, off of that. Side note: before we're not going to dive into the fantasy quite yet, but if Luffy's available, pick him up. It might be a nice little, on your waiver wire kind of thing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because I think he's going to be like a little, you can do his stash on your bench kind of thing to see how he's going. Just kind of.
He's one of those guys that, like, later in the season, or he could just be a good, like, bye week guy, or.
Yeah. You got to have a couple of those.
Oh, for sure.
Or honestly, if they have a week where they play like weaker opponents, they have a week where they play Washington and Florida. Does anyone get that bonus week?
I'm sure somebody does.
Because it was the last year, everyone's like, well, there are 2 games out in the standings. Oh, they have the week where they play Florida and Shanghai. So, well, I mean, New York would always have that in the clutch moment, like last week, because they had the cut and paste schedule last year.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God.
Oh, then they flipped it around backwards. Because I think it was New York or London. They had 4 games, like regular season games in a row, where it was Shanghai and Florida.
Wow.
So it was like 2 to end the stage, and then 2 to start the stage.
Yeah, I remember that. It was like, it really seems like it's they tried their best to avoid that type of thing. Like, I don't really see anybody.
Way better this year.
Yeah.
They did such a better job on all that kind of thing. They only had 12 teams, too. It's kind of hard to...
Right, there's only so much variety you can do with that.
Yeah, especially when you're running 10 games a stage.
Right.
Okay, let's...
let's get back to...
let's back to reality.
And Gamsu, like, both of them, I'm excited to see, and then I do think that Shanghai gets their first win this week. I don't think it's going to be against Boston because...
Yeah,
it's a tough task. Boston's been playing really well. They seem very hungry.
Yeah. And they seem like Boston did last year. It's the...
Yep.
Every week you're like, huh, I didn't expect that.
Right. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah. And...
from out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me. They might not make the stage playoffs.
Right.
But, I mean, there's 6 teams in that. They keep hammering. They could end up there. You never know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. They could end up in the stage playoffs, but I feel like they are more of a dark horse to make the overall playoffs and make a good run.
I think so too. But I think Shanghai, with these two guys, once Gamsu gets situated, I think it actually worked out for them for a change.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like. Because remember last year, everyone's like, oh, well, they got Gaguri and Fearless and Addo and all those guys. You're like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. Oh, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Because their support.
It got better, but so many other teams also got better, and then it's still, like, it definitely wasn't enough. Like, there were some things that improved, but then other things that got worse, namely their DPS.
With DPS.
With the whole undead thing, I think that really sunk that team even lower.
Yeah, well, and their coach, they were just a mess last year.
Yeah, it was a dumpster fire.
I think it was something we talked about in the preseason too. I think getting Gamsu is a direct reaction to having 3 other teams in China.
Yes. For sure.
Especially with Hangzhou being as good as they are.
Mm-hmm. With Hangzhou being as good as they are, and the possibility of one of the other ones being good, like...
Yeah. They don't want to be in the bottom.
Exactly.
Of that.
But let's move on to the next players that we're going to watch for, and that's going to be Ben Best and Finzi. So we really slept on Toronto.
Hardcore.
Yeah. Regrettably, we were just don't really know what to expect from this team, but it's not the strongest roster, but man, were we wrong, because holy crap, these tanks are insane.
Yeah, and they play 3-3 goats better than everybody else in the league.
Yeah.
I'm just going to... You know what I'm going to do? And you guys can mark this down. Anytime those guys say 3-3, I'm just going to start playing that screaming goat sound. I'm serious. If I'm on we're just going to have the screaming goat anytime anyone says 3-3. If you say 3-3 and you're on, you're talking to us, you're going to get the screaming goat.
Right. Oh my god.
Because it's goats. But yeah, these 2 guys, they were fantastic last week. Granted, one match against London, who does not know how to play goats or put together a chair. At least their DPS from their latest video. By the way, guys, got to look it up. There's a link up. I'm going to throw a link up. Once again,
so ridiculous.
Once again, London is fucking hilarious. I just like the fact that they just make shit real, or kind of staged, kind of real.
Right.
And Prophet's generally the star of it. Because
they just put them in really everyday situations, but it's kind of awkward for them because they're just awkward people. Yeah.
Especially Prophet. Let's put Prophet in awkward everyday situations. Well, not awkward for the rest of the world who puts together their own chair, but let's see what happens.
Let's see how 4 of them build a chair together.
It's like one of those a fucking corporate America. We're going to have a team build today.
Right.
Everybody get together on your team, and we're going to put together a chair and see who does it the best. Meanwhile, London's still finding the screws.
Right.
It's kind of like how they're playing goats.
Jesus.
Kind of awkward and weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Finzi and Ben Best. Let's get on that.
But yeah, some guys that play goats very well.
Yeah. And they don't divert.
No.
And, the thing is last week against London did the Sombra thing, and it worked. But then they spawn camped Sombra the next time they brought Guard in. So,
right.
Well, kind of spawn camped. They basically did not let them breathe.
Yeah. These guys were insane, and I really am intrigued by their matchup this week of playing against the Gladiators. I want to see how they play against Roar. I'm very interested in how that's going to go. Yeah,
because I think Finzi is better than what the Gladiators have to offer on off-tank.
I agree.
Either Bishu, who was a no-show last week, or Void, who honestly, he played with Guard, so they have a little bit of synergy.
Mm-hmm.
But there were times where he just did not look good. I mean, that's been the glaring hole in their team, kind of, for the last year. Their off-tank has been kind of eh.
Right. They had Fissure. Yeah, it's really been
Bishu actually...
problem.
Fissure helped Bishu so much last year. I think he taught him a lot. But, anyway, watch these guys, because they're going to play goats, and they're going to play it to a T.
Yes.
And
the discipline that they have is unmatched, and then they just have a synergy with each other that, I know they've played a little bit together, but they really didn't have all that much time, but they just had such an immediate synergy that I was very, very impressed by. And
the one thing is I think they all played the similar style in Contenders.
Mm-hmm.
So going into this, they kind of knew what their job was, as far as the components. It was just the communication, getting it all together. And did a fantastic job of doing that. And, I mean, we both picked them over the Gladiators.
Yeah.
The thing is the Gladiators can throw some funky stuff out, but it doesn't phase Paris. At least it didn't last week. Because London's trying to bait people into not playing goats so they don't have to. And they were just like, nope.
We'll stay here. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. We're going to stay here and kick your ass continually.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hit our last one on the inner sights. And we are going to talk about, let's see, I'm going to butcher his name. Sunmin Sue and Haskell from...
Haxel.
God, why do I call him Haskell? Eddie Haskell?
I mean,
I'm not that old.
It goes back and forth.
I'm old, but I'm not Leave It to Beaver old.
But yeah, Haxel and Xiaomin Su is what I'm
SMS.
Pretty sure. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah. I like that better.
We're going to go with SMS. But
my God, we knew Vancouver was good, but like seeing these guys play in the league finally and really getting to see what they're capable of has been a pleasure, and I can't wait to watch more of it.
Yeah, and I know if you guys have been listening, I got on they were holding the league hostage and all that, and just because they're Korean, they're not going to dominate the league. I might be backing up on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, they've been a team for what? In Overwatch years, for like 75 years.
Right.
I mean, they know how each other's going to play, and that's so important. And they kind of played on big stages and all that stuff, too, because in Korea, it's different than here. They're not playing in some back alley warehouse tournament thing.
Right. They're not on their own computers at home playing over that, or just like some like podunk little like local gaming cafe or something like that. Like they actually have like a full on stage and they're playing on LAN and all of that. So like these guys have been there, and I mean they dominated in Korean contenders. Yeah. So
or
they've been a top tier team since their inception, basically.
Yeah, well, and they're continuing. And these two guys, oh man, they are fun to watch too.
Yeah, they are. And because their hero pools are ridiculous, because they're still able to play goats, but they might even be the team that changes the meta to be like, yeah, you don't necessarily have to play goats if you play this layout or this lineup better, or this lineup in this certain way.
Yeah, and they're not like Guangzhou and Chengdu that just are like, hey, let's try this. So
right.
Like, for instance, I keep saying London baiting people out to not play goats. If London does that to Vancouver, it's not going to matter.
No.
All right, you want to go 2-2-2? Let's go.
It reminds me of those like mid 2000s Spurs when they would play against any team, and some team would be like, "Oh, here's our gimmick." They're like, "Okay, we'll play it better than you."
Yeah. Or
we're gonna go against the Suns. Okay. Well, we got Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, and they're just gonna rain threes on you.
Yeah. More than you can rain on us.
Yep. Or okay, you guys want to grind it out because. Like, who are they playing in that time?
Pistons.
Oh, against the Pistons, yeah. You guys want to play grinded out basketball? We got Tim Duncan. He's going to beat you. I don't care how good you are on defense.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, they got that Spurs kind of... And they had that kind of in sync with each other kind of thing like the Spurs did, too. Mm-hmm. And
just, like, super versatile. They can play any style, but they also just... They played so many different things, and all these, like, there's so many different metas and all these different ways of playing that they just all know how each other works.
Yeah, and these two guys are insane. And then you have Stitch.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Stitch on any other team is the star.
Right.
If you really think about it.
Yeah, that's just... that just shows how good Haxel and Xiaominsu are.
Yeah. They're just ridiculous. And they're going to be ridiculous again. Plus their tanks. I mean, I can't wait to see when we get into a DPS meta, because their tanks are amazing, and the amount of space they create anyway. Mm-hmm. But if you get these guys on some good, DPS type of heroes consistently, I want to see them pop off on that. But this week, I think they got a challenge, in San Francisco.
Yes. Oh, that's the other game I have circled this week of like, holy crap. And when we talked about that in the other one, but like seeing them, that's going to be the true test for this team to really see just how good they are.
And believe me, these guys know how cocky those guys are.
Right. So, exactly.
And they're going to go in there and, okay, you got all your shiny names and all your money. Guess what this is going to be? W.
Exactly.
It's not going to be close. But, yeah, I just think that I just like these two guys, just from what I saw from them, and they're going to be consistently good. And this week is going to be fun to watch them because they're playing some competition.
Right.
Shanghai was not necessarily a competition last week. Let's be honest.
Yeah, probably not. Plus, we get to see them twice. I think that's a even better test to see how they do on a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Paris gets jobbed, man. They're the early bye week team, kind of. Yeah, the two single games, and then the rest are twos, unless they play one. Because I think one of the only teams that has 2 games in the last week is Washington of the stage.
No, Paris has in week 3. They still only have 1 game.
Are you shitting me? So week 4 and 5.
Week 4 and week 5. Yeah.
What happened to the bye week thing? I thought we were getting bye weeks.
I think we are, but I don't know.
Yeah, because they only played Houston in week 3.
Maybe you only get there's one stage where you don't get a bye week.
Maybe the first stage they don't have bye weeks just to get everybody out.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. And
they played the Gladiators twice. Oh, no, wait, that's Atlanta. I'm sorry, bird logos.
Yeah.
Confusing. Okay, we got on a sidetrack there, but yeah. So definitely watch Haskell and SMS, as I'm calling him, because I'm going to butcher his name.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm excited to watch both of those guys. So let's move into our fantasy.
The fantasy pop-off.
Holy shit, I popped off, dude!
Yeah, our fantasy pop-off.
But first, let's talk a little bit about rosters.
Yes.
Before we dive into it. So everybody's, if you guys are doing like a regular league, head your rosters. Just look for a couple of guys before we get into who we're watching and who we think is going to pop off, especially if you're doing unlimited stuff. But some guys to look for on waiver wires, although it is going to be Thursday, so it might be a little late. But there's guys like Michelle. A lot of leagues have Sinatra. Because nobody thought they were going to be available because, well, like us, we took Zumba. But we also got, today, via the waiver wire, I picked up Finzi. Mm-hmm. He's a guy to look for. Like, we talked about him in the previous segment. But guys like that, look for some of these guys that, and maybe a couple of Lucio players here and there, because a lot of your Zenyatta fraggers are going to be out or already picked up.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a guy like Massa is somebody who we're actually going to talk about going into our fantasy. So basically, with our fantasy, what we want to do is have two guys for your possible waiver wire pickups, and then 2 guys who we really think are going to just go off, and you need them in your unlimited league.
Yeah, and I might add a third into that after I've been going through some stuff today.
With the possible waiver wire pickups, guys that we think are just solid pickups and could really add some value. First is going to be Michelle.
Definitely.
A guy that I don't think a whole lot of people saw him as a potential pickup or even worth drafting because they didn't really know all that much about him. But God, has he been versatile. Oh, yeah. And I think a lot of people kind of thought that Zumba was going to play more. Right. Like I was saying, but his hero pool, there's a reason why he's playing. His hero pool is stupid. And right now, that's what you need. You need guys with big hero pools. Especially if it's going to be your off tank. Yeah. You need him to be able to flop on a DPS. Because you can't just constantly play Diva anymore. Like, that's just not how this meta's going. Like, even if you're playing Goats, you might not even necessarily have a Diva. There might be times where you need a Wrecking Ball. There might be times where you need your normal Diva player to play
Sombra.
Sombra, or So there's a lot more things that they need to be able to do.
Yeah, or some, very rarely right now, Roadhog. It's just, they got to be versatile, and Michelle is really versatile. And, they, even if they can flop back and forth, because a lot of the maps, it's like you're playing Goat's first point, and then second point you're doing some kind of mishmash of whatever. They might need to jump on Hanzo or Widowmaker or some kind of DPS that they're really good at.
Right, exactly.
So
we think Michelle is a really good pickup. The other guy is the other person that we mentioned earlier, and that's Masa. Honestly, depending on, I don't know if I'd go with Masa for an unlimited league, but as just a solid pickup, as a guy who's going to get you a lot of healing, a lot of damage,
because deaths
and
don't
a lot
count.
of eliminations. Yeah.
So I mean, you're safe, and they're going to play a lot of sludgy, a lot of healing kind of games with the amount of goats they run. And he gets a lot of eliminations, a lot of damage.
Yes.
I mean, we saw that last week. And I think,
like how many boops did he get into the well?
Yeah, exactly. And, if you're in a situation where you're like, oh, my supports are not working out, definitely pick him up.
Yep.
I mean, is he going to be as good as a Zenyatta player? Hard to say right now.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But he's still going to give you good value for a Lucio player.
Yeah. I would pick him up before I picked up, say, someone like the flex support from, say, Washington.
Right.
I would pick, because he's going to have a higher point value than a team that's only playing 4 matches. Let's be honest.
Yeah. No kidding. That's just going to get rolled like every time.
Yeah. I mean, the exception is Hagapun, who didn't look too bad with Florida, but that was just because they were getting mashed so hard that you really can't.
Somebody had to do something.
You can't not heal that much.
Right.
I mean, even if you guys play support, you know that. Like, when you're getting steamrolled, you're like, wow, I did a lot of healing. That's because everybody was getting their faces kicked in.
Right.
Especially if you're playing Lucio. Because you got that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just constantly healing, so you're just always, like, in that mode.
Except for last night when I was trying Lucio after about 4 beers on Paris. That did not work. We played a little Paris. It was kind of fun. It gets steamrolly.
Yeah, it does.
But it was also an arcade.
Right. Yeah, it's the arcade of the same map over and over and over again. So it's mostly just should be used to learn the ins and outs of the map itself, and not based on just about any other thing, because it's basically quick play. Like, it's somehow worse than quick play in some ways.
Yeah. Well, because everybody's running around.
Right.
Like, and then I'm like thinking I'm going out the back door, and I went out the front door, and I got absolutely murdered on Zenyatta. Or I went out the side door. I was like, you're like, pull back. I'm like, I'm in the back. I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm out front. Well, the spawn room's right over there, so I'll be all right. But anyway.
Yeah, so for our guys to like pick up off the waiver, these are the 2 that we think could really add a lot of value to your team.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for those. If they're out there and you need help in either your off tank or one of your supports, don't hesitate to pick up either one of those guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's move on to the guys that we really think are going to pop off for the Unlimited. First, we got AKM. I mean, how huge of a week did he have last week?
Yeah, exactly. And we're going like some deep picks if you want some like sleeper kind of things. If you want to get like AKM is a guy, I think he's going to play way more in effect. Mm-hmm. And he's playing really, really well right now.
And when they like, I would be flabbergasted if they don't play him every match, because anytime they played well, AKM was in there and he was just going off. So I feel like their coaches are too smart to not see that.
Yeah, they have 2 games that could possibly go longer.
Right.
Because they're kind of up and down, so I feel like they're playing to the level of competition. Mm-hmm. Sort of. They didn't really play to the level of anybody on their first match, but
right.
I think they're going to be one of those teams that, like, It's just going to be a battle every match.
Yeah,
whether it's 3-1 or 3-2 or, it's going to be that way with them.
Yeah, and
that's value.
The nice thing with having that is, it just is more opportunity to pick up big points.
Yeah, like we were saying about earlier about Raucus and Dante, and anyone else really on Houston. They played 2 5-map matches that went almost all the way to the end.
Right.
I mean, literally that Atlanta one, wasn't that or Toronto? That was to 99-99.
Yeah.
And I believe their other match was too.
Yeah, they had a few of them
against Boston.
It was ridiculous. Yep.
But that's point value.
Yeah, absolutely. The longer they play, that's why we even said earlier, look at what Raucus was doing.
Yeah.
He died a lot, but he put up huge numbers because they went to 5 maps twice.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's another guy to really think about, and just some perspective to think about when you're picking your people for that.
Yeah, because they're going to play a lot of. Well, we make fun of them, but they're going to be in matches till the bitter end.
Right.
And that's good for fantasy.
For sure.
Except, I do still like the exception of if they're playing a bad team.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of your off tanks and guys like Jonak and stuff like that, they have the potential to just rake.
Yeah.
Against Florida or Washington or even, Chengdu. Teams that are kind of, especially when you're playing guys from Philly or New York or even Atlanta. You get some of those guys that are that go off.
Right, exactly.
But other than that, if you're looking for some value picks, look for the teams that play hardcore tough matches. Boston too.
Yeah.
Boston's another one.
That's why our next 2 picks, obviously they are they're on the other side of one of the games, but they have 2 games that are going to give you good potential. Poco and Carpe. First game they're playing Florida, so they could just really put up huge numbers in that just because Florida's not good. And then...
Especially Carpe playing Zarya.
Yes.
He's just going to just destroy people.
And then against Dallas, there is that potential that it could go to 5, and that's an even bigger opportunity for them to put up big numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm going to throw in one last guy. Izzyaki from the Valiant.
Yeah.
Flex support. They got 2 matches this week. But in that match against Hangzhou, he was just nuts.
Yeah, he was ridiculous.
And he heals. He does a lot of healing, but his damage numbers. I think he had a better week than Jonak, and that was against Hangzhou.
Right.
Against the finger.
Ridiculous.
The pink finger. Anyway, but because they're playing Toronto and they're playing New York. I think the Toronto one's going to be a close match. We talked about that.
Yeah.
And New York, they have the potential to take maps from New York. That's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think Izzyaki is going to be Miyazaki. Isn't that the anime guy?
Miyazaki.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
It is close. When I first saw that, I did a double take when I first saw his name.
I'm terrible with names. I have trouble with mine, and it's 3 letters in real life. So.
It is Izzyaki.
Izzyaki. So, if I ever go to Asia, I am fucked.
I know, right?
I'm just going to be like, hello, you can tell me your name. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I'm sorry.
You should type it into my phone, and I'll just play it from my translator.
What's your battle tag?
Right.
It's going to be a random English word. Yeah.
They are. But
that's my next alt account. Random English word is going to be my battle tag.
Random English word, yes.
So that is going to do it for our In Our Sights and Fantasy Pop-Off for the week. Thank you guys for listening and watching and all the likes and subscribes. We've kind of hit a milestone we didn't talk about. We're over 100 subscribers, so thanks. All of you guys that are out there, thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. And
that is huge, and thank you guys so much.
Yeah. it means a lot. It really does. Thanks to everyone that listens and, all the comments and all that stuff. Keep them coming. I figured out how to do the time mark thing, so I've been doing that. I didn't know it was that easy.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I noticed that on other videos. I'm like, how do they do that? And I didn't explore it. And thanks for the tip, too. It does actually make it easier if you're watching a video, especially if you just want to kind of see where we're at. But anyway, thanks a lot. And guys, enjoy the matches. We'll be flying around social media somewhere. If anything, keep an eye on Twitter, because if I go on Discord, or if I am gonna do like watching some matches on stream and want to talk to you guys, or just need to flap my mouth for a while, which happens. Just watch Twitter. We'll post it up there, and just come and join us. So you guys have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the matches, and we will talk to you later.
Catch you guys on the next one. Later.